Hello,
Thanks, Craig.
everybody. Hi, Craig.
Welcome to Dissonant Waves Sonic Adventure. Instead of reviewing music this week, we're just going to play Sonic Adventure and complain about it.
Yeah,
Or I'm
we're
gonna
all
complain
literally going to
about
be
it.
playing Sonic.
Dominic's going to have a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I love this game. Ironically, unironically, everything. It's great.
If it wasn't for this shitty story, like the so bad it's funny as fuck story, and
It would not be as
soundtrack
interesting.
that we're covering here, yeah, this game would be forgotten.
Oh yeah, the story is so bonkers. It is fantastic. It is so emblematic of its era.
I'm going to be playing it for the first time during this recording.
Oh, are we all just gonna play during the recording? I shut it off because I
Yeah.
figured we weren't going to.
No, I'm still playing.
Yeah, we're all
Okay,
gonna
let
be
me
playing.
turn my thing back on. This is why I have a
Why
Wii.
would you turn it off? This is
Because I have to mute it. So give me a second.
I am buying a month of PlayStation Now to just fucking play this game. I hope you guys are happy.
Oh my god, see. This is the kind of things that I just hate about the game design in this game, though. Is that there were points where if you miss a hit on an enemy, you just die.
Yes.
Like it's not you haven't got rings or anything, so you die to that. It's just that literally you get knocked off the edge of the map.
Or it's like
So-
you miss the homing attack on the one enemy, so then you just shoot off into nothing and you can't recover.
So
And
the
this is
albums
one
we're
of
going to
those
be
games-
reviewing this week are obviously the Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack,
Yeah, I forgot that
Yeah.
we're doing a podcast.
Vundabar's Gawk, which did you guys watch the music video like I asked you to?
Yeah,
I
I
did.
watched it. There's a bloody drag. There's some people with a pug that has cocaine in it.
2.5 kilos, I think.
By all known, it starts off with that speech, with by all known laws of aviation, a bee should not be able to fly. But singing by pure willpower alone, blah blah blah.
It was the first B movie fan fiction.
Yeah.
A pug can fit 2 kilos of cocaine in its digestive tract. This pug has what was it? 2.5.
2.5. Yeah, 2.5.
Okay, we're all playing Sonic Adventure 2 now.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
are all
Sonic
playing
Adventure
Sonic
2.
Adventure 2.
Gotta keep pressing those buttons.
And
yeah.
Also the Middle East, I want that you were happy.
I want that you were always happy.
Always happy. I forgot
Always,
the always.
Always. Which, spoiler alert, is probably gonna be the best rated album.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. The Middle East is the best album. Everything
Yeah.
else we can debate.
Yeah.
This has been Dissonant Waves for the week.
How about
We're
we
gonna
get
go back
started?
to-
How about we get started on
get
Gawk?
Let's just talk about
Yeah.
Gawk real quick.
Yeah, because it's
Gawk
an
is
alright
probably
album.
the one that it's not the one that I'm gonna rate the lowest this week, but it is definitely the one that at least to talk about. I kind of came out of this album kind of happy having listened to it because I think there was still some fun sounds from a genre that's probably overdone, but still it's not exactly
Have-
terrible to hear.
Have you guys seen the old album art for this album?
I've only seen
No,
the
I
one
have
album
not.
yet.
I'm posting a screenshot. It
Also, I was
is.
gonna say,
yeah.
Sonic Adventure 2.
Good thing
has
I've got
something
my second monitor, so I can now check out 2 screens, but still only focus on one.
Sonic- Sonic
That's
Adventure 2 is
racist.
something I really
That's
appreciate.
very racist, Trix.
That's the
Oh.
actual old art.
That's
Oh. Oh,
Have you ever heard
No.
of gollywogs?
No.
no. That's
Have
bad.
either of you ever heard of gollywogs?
No.
No.
They're an old toy, which thankfully don't really exist anymore, but they used to exist in this country a lot. And the controversy about them, they looked kind of like that.
Oh my
The
god.
Jinx controversy.
Yeah, it wasn't
Jinx
too
looks better than
controversial.
that.
It wasn't too controversial at the time of White Australia policy.
Anyway, what I was gonna say is that one thing I appreciate about Sonic Adventure 2 still is that they have a lot of posters, and they're still easily readable. Like someone dedicated some time to making some cool
Look,
posters.
for everything that there is to complain about this game, I fucking love the amount of attention to detail that they've done in the artwork.
Yeah, like we
Yeah.
got Chaos Cola. Playing SA2 is habit forming.
Which-
Don't turn off.
Unfortunately, Vundabar decided not to do that with the original album art.
here is the most iconic level I'm about to play. Oh god, this controls like hot ass.
Yep.
I mean, you're streaming it, Riddle, and you're doing the PC version.
Yeah, I'm on.
I'm doing the GameCube version, which is probably the best way to play it.
Yeah,
Still.
I have the GameCube version, which is fine. I think. I've never played the original Dreamcast version.
I have. It honestly plays like a beta of the GameCube version, which makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah. So for those who want the true actual nostalgia and for the album to actually, not the album, the game to actually be as good as you remember it, GameCube.
Yeah.
Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, best version of the game, hands down.
I'm probably playing the worst way to play.
Come up in the mic a little bit, Trix.
I think I'm actually playing right now the worst way to play it.
Yes. PS Now.
PC port is pretty bad because I don't know how they've done it, but a lot of the Sega ports that they did for PC for these types of games were really just bad.
I would believe that, yes. But yeah, the Dreamcast did a lot of things that were really cool and are still cool. Like we're saying, like the textures were big enough that they could do like cool posters and stuff. And I think this game benefits a lot from that. But talking about Gawk, my thoughts on that real quick. I like the sound of it a lot, but nothing really grabbed me until we get to like Bust, which is like 7 tracks in.
Yeah. And that's like the highlight of the entire album.
Yeah. Like the first track, what is it? Chop. That's been on my mind a lot today for some reason. I've been thinking about it. But like it's like I appreciate the sound more than I like the album until we get to the later part of it.
Yeah. I definitely, for Gawk, I should have done their first album, which I think is one of their better albums. I haven't really listened to too much of their stuff. I've listened to like 3 of their albums, and I've only listened to Gawk and their first one, Antics, I think it's called, the most.
Yeah, okay.
And Antics is definitely a solid album front to back, I'll say that. Gawk, less so, but I've been listening to a lot of...
Really.
It's not bad. It's not bad, but it's not their best.
There's a couple moments in songs that are liking. I think it was Alien Head or something was his title.
Alien Blues.
Which it was very generic of a track. I like most of this album is, but it was one of those ones that I was still having fun listening to. There.
Oh yeah, it's like compare it to like something like Wolf Power or Wolf Parade or whatever that fucking band is. Where that was just genericism to the point of like I'm tuning it out.
Yeah.
And this is, it has that indie rock lo-fi vibe, but it still has some interesting stuff going on sometimes, and like you can appreciate what they're doing, even if it's not like, oh my god, I need to listen to this. Like I wouldn't mind owning this album at all, but I don't know how much I actually listen to it.
That's a fair assessment. Yeah.
Sorry,
like, I own the Caretakers Everywhere at the End of Time, and I'd rather own Gawk.
Which one left a bigger impact on you, though?
Everywhere at the End of Time.
Yeah.
I
listened to it much more. I had to.
You listened to that thing for 13 hours.
Well, interesting fact is that Vundabar, before we started covering this album, this was an artist that I was going to go see in a couple of months because they were supporting Hockey Dad on the upcoming tour. Obviously, with coronavirus and stuff, I'm possibly not going to be able to see this band. I wouldn't be surprised if they end up pulling out altogether.
I mean,
because international acts and quarantine means it's a bit harder for them to come over to this country.
It's hard to know. Did you see what I was talking about with their website the other day? How they still had not updated their touring status. They still had their tour dates like going as scheduled, which does not make sense at all.
No.
What was the country that was having the controversy because they still had some of those gigs on?
I don't know.
That was one of them.
But I was looking at it. on I think 2 days ago on the 17th, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we should be playing in Philly today." And it's like, "No, you're not."
Well, not with that attitude.
Didn't they have their gear stolen recently?
Yeah, they got their gear stolen
It
in
was
Philly a few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago.
A few years ago.
It was like
They had, like,
2016 or something.
Yeah, they had like a GoFundMe being like, "Hey, we need some money because we got our gear stolen." Which I understand.
You should really get your
completely.
gear insured.
It's
Not
just
the
funny.
only-
It's
I
like,
think around that time, Beach Slang actually got their gear stolen as well, and probably around Philadelphia as well. Fucking Philly.
there's like a thief going around stealing from
What
DIY
was it that
groups.
It was that the hitchhiking robot that managed
Oh,
to
yeah,
get
that
away
died
like,
in
through the
Philly.
whole of Canada or something, and went to Philly and fucking died in like an hour.
That's just Philly for you.
I saw on
That's-
Twitter that they were doing some kind of internet, streaming concert with Beach Money.
Oh, that would I should have watched that if I had known.
It was like
Oh,
the
God.
end of March, so it was a little late.
Oh
but
God, that sucks ass. Sorry, I just got
Hey,
to a
I'm
point.
I'm still here hoping I'll be actually able to see him. Because again, like all the international acts are just pouring out of Australia, full stop, not even just postponing.
I mean,
Because
That sounds about right.
see if you can get Seismic to come in.
do they ever
They
leave
seem
this
to-
country?
I don't know. That's the question, isn't it? I mean, what are the Ireland brothers doing now?
I think one of them is in a new band. I think Jordan Ireland does. What was his band called? It was Jordan Ireland and the Purple Orchestra.
Okay.
Because they performed some of those songs at the Middle East concert that I was at like 2 years ago.
Was that the Sydney Opera House one?
Yep.
Okay,
That's
that
like
was
the
last
only
year.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the beginning of 2019.
Yeah, I can't remember. These
Oh god,
days
this time
just
level
go by,
is
man.
impossible.
Excuse me.
The shadow level, radical highway, time level, impossible.
I'm struggling on the first level, and I'm not even lagging.
I forgot that this was like hard for no reason, and I'm gonna exit out and do something else. But yeah, Gawk ain't bad, but it's something to talk about with Gawk.
Yeah.
It's
a sound
okay.
that's tired. Like I've heard the same surf rock album 50 fucking times. But I mean, even though it's a tired sound, it's still enjoyable to listen to on occasion. I don't think this is one of those albums that I'd really recommend to anyone trying to get into the surf rock genre at all.
No,
I'd actually recommend like some 60s or some 60s horror surf.
Yeah.
I will put it above. I will put it pretty like moderately high in my listing so far for 2020. Like, I'll put it over White Reaper and Beach Money and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I probably would too.
Better album.
There's a lot more songs that I would go back to in this album than I would on a White Reaper.
I just got a game over on the first level.
Yeah,
you'll do that. Run the truck?
No, not even to the truck.
Let me just pause and just get this. Fucking Death Chamber.
Death Chamber.
Yeah, I'm on a Great Knuckles level there. I don't know. It feels bad to not really have much to talk about with this album, but I mean, we're gonna have so much to talk about with the other two that make up.
I came prepared to talk about Sonic Adventure 2.
And I'm blaming you two for this one because I had two more interesting acts than you chose, and you chose Gawk over them.
I chose the one with the best song, so that's your fault.
I thought I was gonna be able to watch them live in 2 months.
Fair.
I wanted to get the head start.
What were my other options that I even picked?
Something hair metal-y, I remember.
Oh yeah, the Slifts, Space is the Key was one of the albums. I really want to do some Slift. They're real fun. They're not really hair metal. They're more like 70s proto metal.
So whilst I don't have much to say about this album still, I'll just quickly say my favorite is Alien Blues. I don't really have a least favorite because there's nothing to really hate off this album. which is nice, I guess. But like, it never played anything dangerously enough to have anything to hate. So,
I mean,
true.
you take it as you will.
I think for me, the best song is Bust, and I also like War and Wander also, because
That's a good one.
that's just the highlights of the thing. But then I think the worst song is probably Desert Ditty, because it comes right after, and it brings the quality back down quite a bit, I think. Like, it's not bad or anything, it's just like the longest song and kind of not amazing compared to the other two songs that I really liked, so it's kind of a letdown. So yeah, no, it's not bad. Nothing's bad. It's just, yeah, there was a peak there, and then the peak dropped off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Rolling around at the speed of sound.
I've been hearing that song for the past. It gets tiring.
To go, gotta
follow my rainbow.
Can't circle around, got to keep moving on. One love's ahead, only one way to find out.
Keep on moving. I can't remember the lyrics.
No time for guessing, follow my way instead.
God, I hate these fucking floating hexagonal platforms.
Take my lead,
Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack whilst Dominic is still singing. So I was watching a speedrun actually for Sonic Adventure 2 just then.
Yeah.
And it was it's very interesting how broken some moments of this game are and exactly how it's designed.
So many
specifically.
I'm spazzing out on a staircase right now as we speak.
Yeah. Well, specifically,
I'm stuck.
It's on the level that I'm in, the Death Hammer or whatever the fuck it's called. Death Chamber. Oh shit! I remember I gotta destroy these, don't I? Yep.
Do Sonic Adventure fans still hate it when you refer to Sonic 06 as Sonic Adventure 3?
Okay, like we can talk about that real quick. Sonic Adventure 2 is better than Sonic 06. It is also better than Sonic Adventure 1. Tricks, come up a little bit, please.
Oh god, I just said because I'm trying to play fucking City Escape.
But in the Discord, I posted a lot of songs from Sonic Adventure and was like, hey, look at these shit-ass songs and look how Sonic Adventure 2 tricked them out and made them better.
Yeah, actually, I remember you posting that now. Yeah.
Oh my.
Like, Eggman's theme is like some video game-ass bullshit that doesn't mean anything. It's kind of generic and weird and slow. And then for this game, they made it some really weird, I am the Eggman type shit. It's like kind of catchy and kind of cheesy, but like there's so much more heart into it. You know, it's kind of amazing in its own little way. And that kind of sums up the whole soundtrack. And to be clear, we did the 20th anniversary edition original soundtrack, which has a selection of songs, not all of the songs, because there's a lot more than is covered here. But there is a lot. It's a good way to get a idea of what this is about.
So my first real thought to put on about the soundtrack, just as the soundtrack as a whole, without actually talking about the levels and stuff that it relates to.
Mm-hmm.
Holy fuck, it's cheesy, but some of it is just executed so well that you just don't care.
Yes.
Like City Escape, cheesy as fuck. Oh, so fun as fuck.
Yes.
It's a ska song about fucking just rolling around at the speed of sound. Yeah.
People around my age, like 25, I think, who grew up with this as it came out as a little kid, I think all have like a secret nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
So because it's like the first level song.
The first 3D Sonic game I played was Sonic Heroes. I think that's
That was like my third Sonic game, I think. It was Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Adventure DX on GameCube, which I hated at the time. And then Sonic Heroes.
Oh, fuck.
Sonic Heroes, that soundtrack is also quite interesting, having a song by Gunnar Nelson in there.
I did not know that, but I love the fucking Sonic Heroes soundtrack.
Yeah, they got better people for Sonic Heroes, but I think this soundtrack is better for like even with that.
Okay, I'm gonna unpopular opinion time. The best Sonic soundtrack ever is the Japanese edition of Sonic.
Well, you're probably not wrong. I don't think that's the worst opinion to have.
I also think it's the best Sonic game, which is also the worst opinion according to some fans.
I have a
the
very
thing to kind of note here, though, as well, that seems to be the more important thing, is that Sonic soundtracks have always been quite great.
Oh,
They've been
fuck
quite
yeah.
vivid, full of life.
Yes.
Well, the first one,
this...
there were some good songs on the first one. The first one was like a good template. But Sonic 2 is where it really got kicked in the balls.
Similarly, Sonic Adventure had some interesting stuff, like a couple things, but so much of it was trash. Like like a lot of the game that it's just full of shit and doesn't need to be there. And Sonic Adventure 2 pares it down and polishes it and makes it a lot better.
Let me go fishing for Froggy with Big the Cat.
Oh yeah, that's just not.
It gets rid of the fucking overworld with the fucking little red ball that floats around and like, let me tell you a story about the echidnas. And it's just like, no, we're gonna have fucking Eggman become a terrorist and blow up the moon and make deals with the president who's really supposed to be Bill Clinton. And fuck Station Square. We're gonna base the whole game on San Francisco because why not?
Sonic Adventure, the first one, could have been a good game. It could have, but they made so many poor design choices.
Yeah, and not saying Sonic Adventure 2 doesn't have some of those poor design choices either.
No, it has incredibly poor. But what it makes, this game has the ability to make up for a lot of its shortcomings with such a kind of full of life story, or in this case, a fucking great ass soundtrack.
And like really colorful levels and like really different kind of stuff. Like I said, based on San Francisco. I was reading like some of it's based on like Yosemite National Park. Like that's not stuff you really see often, especially in like a series like this. Which this was Sonic Team USA's first game too, which is really cool to think about. They were based in San Francisco by then, so.
And I know it's gonna feel weird ranking this lower than Vundabar, seeming as we're giving it a lot of praise at the moment, but
you will. I won't.
There is.
For every highlight, there is a big low light.
Sure.
Yeah. The knuckle. I mean, I'm currently been doing Death Chamber for how fucking long now? 8 minutes and 10 seconds, and I'm telling you, none of this has been fun, including the fucking music that they choose.
I think the beats on the Knuckles raps are good. Like they sound okay. Like they're really chill, and I don't know. Like the Knuckles theme song is like the most polished rap of them all, and it's barely used, which is kind of funny to me. And it's not even on the soundtrack, but it's on the soundtrack. But like I was doing some digging into the rapper who does the Knuckles raps. His name is Hunted P. And
the guy is who's currently in jail.
He was in jail. He was in jail on like a felony weapons charge for I don't know if a couple years, at least over a year. I was reading that he once claimed he was working on a new Knuckles rap and then said it was for attention. But the story, from what I understand, is that he wrote all the Knuckles raps in one day and did them all in one day. So for one day of work, you have like 5 songs that are legendary for being both good and bad in different ways. Like people out there fucking love some of these songs. Even I don't understand all of that. But I do think there's some good roots. And that brings me to kind of the reason I want to talk about this album specifically. This is why I brought it up. There's a lot of dedication and thought put into this soundtrack that a lot of games don't really have. It's kind of lopsided, but we talk about how Knuckles has like a rap, and like that's kind of his genre. He's like the rap character.
Yeah.
And like Sonic is like the ska character. A lot of his songs are ska based. You see that with the first song, Event Let's Make It. You see that with City Escape. Shadow is like the electronica industrial character, and that's and then Rouge is like the female R&B type. And they
It's
kind of
like
give up
that
with like
weird group of friends you hung out with in high school.
they kind of give up with Eggman and Tails and just make it generic rock and kind of like Sonic. But they tried pretty hard to like give a majority of the characters like a lot of style and flavor through the soundtrack. And I think that experimentation really helps it. Like there are some songs in here that you would never hear in another game.
I've only got one more key to find. Everybody, this is fucking torture.
I'm fighting the first boss. Oh boy.
Oh,
Yeah, it gets very, very finicky.
yes, it does. But you're playing on worse controls too.
Yeah, because I have input lag.
Input lag, and again, it's very precise. But no, I like in the greater context, Sega in this era when they were making the Dreamcast, so many of the games had stellar soundtracks. We talk about Jet Set Radio, talk about
Sega was fucking killing it.
Space Channel 5, we got Rez, I mean, Shenmue's a different thing. It has its own style of music in it, but it was still quite good. But like, we look at like what they were doing with like incorporating new genres. They were incorporating a lot of more hip hop based stuff and a lot of like electronica based stuff with like Jet Set Radio and things like that. It makes sense that Sonic Adventure 2 would also go down that route and have that style and bring that to Sonic and try to make it work as best it can. And I think, like I was saying, that experimentation is where it shines the best. Like, I don't know, what songs stand out to you two?
Well, besides the obvious City
Besides City
Escape. Let me get up the actual track list here again. So the one that bored me the most, I would say, is the Chow Race one. That one just had, it was,
I mean,
very, it was this very overly long, nothing to it song.
I mean, that's just like a compilation of all the Chow Race and Chow World stuff in the game. It was like, oh yeah, we have this whole other dimension to it that should probably exist on the soundtrack. Let's just kind of cram it all in there.
I mean, the opening theme song as well, Live and Learn, which again is one of those absolutely fucking cheesy moments that are still quite fun.
Well, in the game, it is so cheesy when it comes up. Oh my god, I can't wait for y'all to get there. It is the most Dragon Ball Z ass shit that I loved as a child.
The one that actually sticks out as the most interesting for me, I'd actually have to say is probably Cannon's Core.
Really?
Yeah, that was one of the ones that was kind of just, I don't know, it's hard to kind of explain it, but that was the one we kind of cut off like halfway through it and then kind of like restarted.
Yeah, because that's there's like 4 levels in Cannon's Core, and that's like 2 of them they put on the soundtrack.
That was what just like listening to that as a song by itself was probably one of the more interesting moments.
What are your tricks?
Nothing really stuck out to me. My like it just whole album had its highs and lows, but I think the worst thing going for it is that it's a Sonic soundtrack. And when I think of like a Sonic soundtrack, I think of like, oh fuck, every fucking track on this is gonna be fucking killer. And there are a lot of like less killer.
I mean, I think for me, a lot of this a lot of the industrial stuff, a lot of the electronica stuff, like especially like Shadow, I think really stands out to me. We got like his theme, Throw It All Away, which is very emo and very much what he is.
Knuckles
but it has like
is an emo.
And Shadow is the original emo.
Yes, it took me 14 fucking minutes. 14 fucking minutes to get through this fucking Knuckles level.
Shadow looks like he listens
That's
to
the second last one.
Shadow listens to Nine Inch Nails and Ministry.
To Depeche Mode and
yes.
fucking whatchamacallit. I am blanking on my original goth bands right now.
Like Bauhaus kind of stuff?
Yeah, like Depeche Mode, Joy Division,
Yeah.
New Order, all that kind of like shit.
But like
But
throw it
again,
all.
one thing you are totally right about though is the kind of way how this all is for like every character and stuff like that. And when you actually play the levels and they're kind of there in the background, it's some of the best music to be played in a video game. Full stop.
Yes.
It's
Sometimes.
good video game music, but it's not good listening.
I mean, I think stuff like supporting me for BioLizard, as stupid as that title is, like it's again is a very interesting sound that I've never really heard in a game before. That's very like spacey, electronic-y, but like the filtered vocals in there are really interesting, and there's not really like it's more clubby than like a traditional first chorus, or like let's get the melody and let's loop it and let's get the melody and let's loop it, they kind of do sometimes in games. Like there's a lot of experimentation with like songs, like song construction. I think Throw It All Away has like one verse and then like 4 or 5 choruses, for example, which makes sense for like a clubby kind of song, but is kind of not usual in like a game sense. And let's see. They do a
I'm
lot on
on
the
the first
soundtrack for
Knuckles
this specific
stage.
release, where they
Oh.
kind of compare like Sonic and Shadow stages, like the level songs. So you got like the one for Green Forest, Won't Stop, Just Go, which is very generic and whatever. I can't even really remember it. Like I'm playing that level right now on mute. Ironically enough, I can't remember the soundtrack at all for that. But the White Jungle song that comes on after is so much more complex.
Okay,
So
so
much more going for it.
why does every time I try to fight the fucking ghost boss and I get up to the fucking hourglass,
Yeah.
he screws me over?
You gotta wait for him to start breathing fire,
Yeah, I just noticed that.
and then you gotta sneak up behind the little ghost and punch him. But yeah, like I think like I've played this game since I was a child, like 8 years old, I want to say. And for me, like those kinds of songs were the ones that always stood out, where it's like, yeah, sure, rock and roll, whatever, right? But the R&B stuff and like the electronica stuff was different and weird and like really made an impression on me, I think. Like we can talk about Live and Learn, whatever the fuck, but stuff like Supporting Me and Throw It All Away was where it was like, okay, this is really going for something.
This camera legitimately nauseous.
And like this soundtrack doesn't include the Rouge theme. The I don't remember what it's called. It's not right here in the track listing. But that has like the like a lot of the character themes kind of set like the expectation of what each vibe is supposed to be. So Rouge is like female R&B, fairly decent singer. Tabitha Fair, I think her name is. And like it's not bad. Like it's it's a little bit cheesy, but like as like a sound like in like the background, it's kind of cool. And then her level themes are kind of mixed with like a spy 60s almost surf rocky kind of theme. So you have like a lot of I don't know, like Casio keyboard sounds, or like maybe not that, but like kind of organy, like Burt Bacharach kind of stuff maybe I'm thinking of. And like almost like fast bossa nova almost. Like it's a very interesting direction to take like one character's tracks.
It's gonna let me get a ring. Thank you. I got damaged and I was on 0 rings for a long time.
I am playing Knuckles track.
Living life to the most dangerous.
We come to the part now where we discover the problem of playing the game while talking about it, where I am the one who really cares and is trying to talk about it. Everyone's just like playing.
I fully agree with everything you say.
Yeah, it's again. I think a lot of this is that you grew up with it. We didn't.
Yeah, I mean,
I didn't.
I played a bit of this as a kid myself, when I really only had the GameCube.
Yeah.
I had a PS2 when I was a kid, so I definitely couldn't play this.
Yes, I killed the ghost. And I mean, this is actually I've never actually beaten the game myself. So
That's
some
one
of
of the
these
first games I
sounds and
beat.
songs that I was listening to here were actually the first time that I ever heard them.
Mhm.
So I'm judging them as a song instead of just with the level and stuff itself.
That's fair. I mean, like, I'm trying to talk about them as songs, but of course I can't always separate nostalgia from all that too. But I think even with that, I don't think I'm like you said, I'm not off base, I don't think. It's just that I have thought about this a lot more. Like I've been waiting for this moment for several years.
I can't wait until I'm on a podcast and I can talk about my favorite Sonic game.
I've been like, I mean, yes and no. But like it was fun like digging into this and like finally like attaching names to the singers and stuff like that. Like Everett Bradley is like does the shadow
But
music. He's like the vocalist there. And like
this
looking
will
him up,
forever remain one of the most interesting video game soundtracks of all time.
Definitely.
Like even just getting past the meme of City Escape.
yes.
There's some very interesting sounds that get thrown on in here, especially even if they are some of them just a product of the time, like a lot of the ska sounds and the hip hop that they do.
Ska is forever. Thank you very much.
But I just want to say real quick, like when they get artists like Everett Bradley, who had like a hit song in the '90s, became like a Grammy-nominated musician, like they get people who end up like becoming people in the industry who are not well known, but are like they have huge careers. Like he is touring right now with Bon Jovi. Tabitha Flair, I think, does a lot of stuff with the Roots on the Jimmy Fallon show. Like these are career, almost like studio musicians in a sense. Like
That's what I
Trixie
was
was
that's-
saying.
talking about
I
the Wrecking
hate this
Crew, right?
egg golem fight so much.
That's what you would expect, though, for like video game soundtracks. Not to get like too insider, but with especially with, like video game soundtracks and just soundtracks in general, it's a lot of session.
Yeah, and I feel like this is kind of a way for them to have their work shine a bit and have it be a little bit more remembered because as a backup singer in the Roots, like no one's gonna really pay attention. When you're on stage with Lady Gaga or in the same concert, nobody's gonna pay attention as much. But here are some songs where this person sings on it, or they do their little scatting thing, or whatever you want to call it, and that's just ingrained in people's minds for whatever reason for a long time. And I can see why it is appealing, even if they don't always end up acknowledging that. Oh yeah, I worked on a Sonic game. That people want that money. Like, it's a job. It's something. It is a way for them to.
This golem fight. It's pissing me off, Dominic. Why is this so ultra precise?
The ghost fight is worse.
Nah. Ghost fight was much easier than this.
I don't think I'm going to play this game after this episode. I'm going to be honest, guys.
That is totally fair. Oh, am I gonna finally, after 2.5 minutes, I finally landed my first hit on the egg golem.
Oh my god, I can beat that thing in like 2 minutes.
I don't get seasick, but like this fucking camera is legitimately making.
Oh, the camera is so fucking bad. I'd say, I know it's a meme and I know it's like a cop out to say this, but my favorite song is probably still City Escape.
I mean, yeah, it's a good goofy ska song.
Yeah.
People need to appreciate good goofy ska songs.
And my least favorite is Chow Race by far. That one was so fucking drony.
I mean, for me, obviously, like I was saying, Supporting Me is probably my favorite because it's so weird and different. And as a boss theme, it's really interesting to have.
Why
And I
did this
really like
body
Shadow's
thing home
theme.
in?
Throw it all away. And City Escape is cool too. It's been my top 5. I think Event Let's Make It, the first track, is like emblematic of like the ska sound so much in like a 50-second song that I really appreciate that too.
Overall, I'd probably rate this under Vundabar, just because I don't like the stuff that I don't like on this. I just do not like.
Oh yeah, I mean like half of the soundtrack is for just like stages, and they don't have the most interesting music. Like a lot of the highlights are in boss battles and like character themes.
even a lot of the stages ones still have some great moments. But yeah,
Perhaps.
there obviously is a lot of terrible ones as well.
And then like at the end of the game, like the last few tracks, they kind of go into like that video game sound. And it gets very strange that they even bothered.
Okay. Side note: how do I get this fucking Emerald Shard or whatever the fuck it is?
What level are you on?
The fucking first Knuckles level where that one Emerald Shard is in like the fucking tunnel.
Is it behind bars?
No. It's just
It's in a wind tunnel. Oh, okay. I think you just gotta fly into it, and maybe you have to like fly up to it, or like kind of.
It's like right at the very bottom.
Maybe you have to take a shortcut around it or something.
If I throw this on the...
I hate how precise this egg golem is, though. Like, so what happens is that I try to jump up and I try to jump up again because it tries to make you do it kind of quickly, and it ends up doing a homing shot into nothing, and I end up just jumping off the fucking egg golem.
Yeah,
it's very frustrating.
Again, I cannot state how goofy and how much I love the story that surrounds those levels.
I can understand quite easily how something like this could have a huge amount of kind of like fondness as a child and growing up on this. Like, I can see why you love it so much.
Like as an adult reflecting on it, like Sonic and the gang fight the cops. Like they just straight up fight the cops. Like they're going full anarchist punk on everything.
Okay, can I hot take from my land of hot takes? The best 3D Sonic game, Sonic Dreams.
Sonic what?
Dreams.
Come on the mic a bit, please.
Sonic Dreams.
What's that?
It is a fan game, and it's fucking hilarious.
Is that where they have Irish the Hedgehog?
No, but there's an episode where you have to. There's like it's like 4 mini games, and one of the mini games is you have to fucking massage Sonic's feet.
Oh, of course he did.
I love it already.
Like, just watch like the Game Grumps play through it or something after this episode. It's fucking hilarious.
And yeah, playing through this game again through a million times, yeah, it doesn't hold up. And each time it gets a little worse. Like the fucking light dash never works half the time because it just...
And the camera is so bad.
Yeah.
But I finally beat the egg golem after 7.5 minutes.
Good job. Now you get the cutscene where Knuckles comes out of the sewer, I think.
I am quitting after the second Knuckles level.
With Pumpkin Hill?
No, not even Pumpkin Hill. I meant the first fucking Knuckles.
Well, if you're not enjoying it, I'm not going to make you play it, but you're wrong.
We are going to make you say your favorite and least favorite if you haven't already.
My least favorite, I don't think I really got into it. Probably like the Chow song. No, I think Event The Last Scene is really strange and not that great. Or maybe Event Black Noises, because that's where it gets really video gamey for no reason. Everything else is so stylized that it's just so much better when it doesn't try to go where everything else goes. By video gaming, I mean like strings and like almost classical pieces in a sense. Or like the way that video games kind of interpret classical music, if that makes sense. Like just orchestrated more.
Favorite for me is again cliche. I gotta go Cityscape. Cityscape. I just appreciate a good fucking ska bass line. A least favorite, not liking the Knuckles raps at all.
That's fine. You know, a lot of people say you're wrong, but that's fine.
Well,
I mean, they're not the best.
I just subjected myself to 8 minutes straight of one of them, so I feel justified.
I still say the backing tracks are really interesting.
Sorta.
All right. Well, that went half as well as I expected. But that's fine.
Look, it's a very interesting soundtrack, and I'm glad that you've had a lot to say about it as well whilst we've been playing Sonic Adventure 2.
Let's talk about your album now that's going to win.
Yep, this... so, last time that we did Middle East, I did the mistake of doing it when we did Neutral Milk Hotel, therefore making the only album that at the time that was actually considered better than Middle East by you two.
Yes.
Yes.
So now I have done the idea of doing the Middle East when no other album in contention could possibly beat it.
Yes.
To get the number one that it clearly fucking deserves. Going with their full
a crushing victory.
Debut album, their actual proper debut back in 2011, I think it was. I
Their
Want That
only
You Are
album.
Always Happy. Yep. And I guess it depends whether or not you classify the original recordings of the Middle East, not the one that we did, like the actual one with the 3 extra tracks, to be an album or not.
Right. But this album is fantastic. It is better than the recordings in the Middle East. It is the second best thing we've listened to.
I think recordings in the Middle East is better.
I think you're both right. It's hard to tell. I mean, they're both fantastic in their own way.
I think
Yeah, go. You go first. I don't
the brilliance of this album is that it starts out kind of sounding like the recordings in the Middle East, and then they explore kind of like Black Death 1349 is kind of their sound, and then they go and explore a bit. And Jesus Came to My Birthday Party is kind of like their Bell and Sebastian-y kind of thing. And they have some kind of they have a little bit of the Smiths in there. They have Sydney to Newcastle, which is like an instrumental. Then they really just start turning it into a straight up like Americana folk country album, which is wild to me. And I love it so much that it goes that far, and it really nails it at the end.
Yeah, we'll get into tracks like Deep Water, which you're talking about a bit later, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest closers of all time. And it's not even really the closer.
Like, I'm looking at my notes, and like Dan Silverleaf is just like listening to like CCR or something like that. It is Southern rock.
Yeah, it definitely is. Like, less Southern rock, more bluegrassy, which might be why I didn't like it, because I'm not the biggest bluegrass fan.
It's definitely I agree with you with that whole kind of, it starts off according to the Middle East and then branches into kind of other directions. It's an album that if you're expecting another recordings of the Middle East, you're just going to be full on disappointed.
Yeah.
Right.
And I like that that's a thing.
I do too.
Because Middle East were not a band that was supposed to just make another recordings of the Middle East. They were always supposed to be make the album that they think is perfect. And if you go and look into the recording of this, they didn't even think this album was perfect. They had just ended up re-recording and changing the album so many times that they just gave up.
Like, this is it. Okay, we've done it like 3 times now, so fuck it.
And I think the reason for that is that they ended up hating each other so much at the end of it, which eventually led to their final breakup. And obviously, they did the 2 reunion shows last year. I went to one of them, but they haven't come back with any new material. I don't think they're ever going to do that. They've all started their own projects pretty much, and none of them, in my opinion, have been as interesting as the Middle East was.
Because like their whole thing was they were always so self-deprecating, in that they hated their own work. They thought it was so generic and like everything else. And you can definitely hear like the roots of like a Sufjan Stevens or Fleet Foxes, or even like a Bell and Sebastian kind of thing. but they took all of that and they made it their own thing, which is the important part. Like, yeah, it kind of sounds like other things, but it really sounds like their thing most of all. And they put so much work into making these songs stand out that the whole album is pretty much one standout piece. It is a complete thing.
It's a band that it's so weird, in my opinion, just to call them a what if. What if they had stayed together and created something even better than this? Because the stuff that they did create isn't worthy of a what if. They're brilliant. Yeah, the shit that they put out there
they could have made an album better than
fucking brilliant.
I think.
So what?
Like if this is where they were when they broke up, this is my second favorite thing we listened to under Aeroplane. I think the next album would have been better. Like I was like in my notes, I'm talking about Dan Silverleaf and talking about how it taps into that like just unbridled joy that Two-Headed Boy gives me, where there's something about it that just makes me really happy and just glad to be listening to it and glad to be alive. And that's not something I usually get from music.
And there is a lot of different emotions that they go through in this record. It starts off very haunting, like recordings of the Middle East did. And then you have songs which also themselves have quite dark themes, like the song Hunger, which seems to have a lot of kind of references to starvation and stuff in there, but it's yet has such a light-hearted tune to it. Which kind of goes, I think that's one of those ones that kind of falls more under the Americana that you were talking about.
I don't know. You were cutting in and out for me.
The song Hunger I was on about.
Okay, I didn't hear anything at all. So
you didn't hear a single thing at all. I was talking about how that has these dark themes that kind of reference starvation, and it has such a light-hearted tune to it as well that it's kind of cruel how light-hearted the tune ends up being.
Yeah, it's like a Smith song.
Mm.
Like the lyrics are kind of depressing and all that, but they're trying to make it sound so happy and jangly.
Okay, on a side note, just about the Smiths, did you know that like all of like the full-blown like Mexican cholos in LA just love the Smiths?
I can believe that.
Like you'll just see them driving around in their fucking lowriders, just blasting it.
Yeah, Morrissey isn't a racist.
Yeah, Morrissey's yeah. This is why I haven't done a Smiths album yet, but we will probably.
I don't think I've actually listened to a full Smiths album.
Nah, me neither. I don't know. I didn't mind their sounds, but it just never fully grabbed me.
I mean, we done Crystal Castles, and even though that episode was lost, we did them. So
problematic artists every day.
It's just that Morrissey's gonna be a lot to talk about because the music is so good.
That's not the
whole meat is murder thing.
Was it?
The whole meat is murder thing, where they modified that photo of the shell-shocked soldier.
Yeah, that whole album is half cringe, but it's still the Smiths, so it's kind of good still. And like the way that they've kind of broken into the pop culture is so strange. Like 500 Days of Summer talks about the Smiths. The Perks of Being a Wallflower talks about the Smiths. All these kind of quirky indie movies. It's kind of like the indie go-to band.
Oh, my favorite reference to the Smiths comes from Kiss Chasey's Spray on Pants. It's when it's talking about people who keep posing and kind of stuff like this for attention.
Mm-hmm.
And the lyric is she decided she loves the Smiths, so she downloaded all their greatest hits.
Yeah. In high school, I became part of like the hipster artist fan group or friend group. And we liked the Smiths, but we were also very clearly knowing like the connotations of that. So we just made fun of ourselves all the time, being like, so I hear you like the Smiths, huh? To die by your side is such a heavenly way to die, don't you know? And like, yeah, we've just talked like that forever because like
I fucking hate this game.
On a similar note, with REM, they're kind of along the same vein. I just have an interesting,
REM weren't as much as Dix though. Like they were kind
no,
of, but
REM is still pretty solid.
I just never got into REM.
But I have a fun little story about them. My father went to school in Ithaca, New York, and he went there around the same time that REM was touring there, and Mike Mills sold his old Rickenbacker 4001 bass when he was switching over to Fender Precisions there, and my father got to play it at Ithaca Guitar Works.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, REM.
Yeah.
I thought that I heard you laughing.
No.
I
was crying instead.
I saw you crying. But that was just a dream.
But back to recordings of the Middle East.
No, back to I Want
That You're Always Happy.
Yeah, I thought the band was called Recordings of the Middle East for a second. I brain farted.
You're going a little bit too far back, Trix. No.
No! Well, Two-Headed Boy, that was a good song.
Oh yeah, Blood, that's been like featured everywhere. Everyone's heard it before.
Blood is such a good song.
I forget what album I put against those two, because I was just like destined to fail.
I can look it up real quick. I have the entire thing written out.
Might have been. Didn't you put Claypool or something? You put something that was
you
actually
did,
still.
You did Claypool Lennon.
Did I do Claypool Lennon Delirium?
Yes, you did.
That was a good album, but couldn't compete.
I mean,
just so far.
The next episode was LSD and Petite League. So.
Oh, we went from a high to a low.
And Bag Raiders too. So.
Fucking whiplash.
I mean, I think we all decided in the end that Petite League was the high from that.
Yeah. I got that one. That was like my first like unofficial. Everyone rated it the highest, but my first.
Because I rated Bag Raiders and stuff as a tie first.
Yeah,
I think so. Okay.
And my first number one.
Now I fully
was Caretaker.
Yeah.
My first real number one was Caretaker.
Petite League grew on me a lot from that episode.
Yes, as it did all of us.
I love it.
I finally beat the Tails space mission. That's the last Tails mission, isn't it? Besides the boss.
I'm just gonna hang around until you beat the hero story.
Yeah, I'm always gonna do this. Oh my god, I'm doing the last Knuckles. Fucking kill me.
That's the song that everyone's talking about on Facebook right now. I've had two friends in the last couple days fucking post some fucking video with that song over it.
Fucking TikTok dredges everything up.
So, I think the interesting thing I saw about this album is the singles releases of it. There was only one single, and it was Hunger Song, I believe, and it was released 2 months or something after the album was released.
Which is crazy to me because
I mean, it's a great song. It's not even the most popular, and
no, it's a fine song. But 2 weeks later or 2 months later, and like,
well, the one that was actually the most popular from this album, like at the time, was "Land of the Bloody Unknown,"
which is a fine song in its own right too.
Obviously, like, I feel like if you asked what my favorite off this was, most days, you'd get a 50-50 between Jesus Came to My Birthday Party and Deep Water.
Yeah, Jesus Came to My Birthday Party is so good.
Yeah, it is.
It is such a happy song.
And again, it has this kind of... That's one of those ones where I'm not really quite sure what the fuck they're on about, but I just don't care.
No,
it's probably something sad.
Yeah, most of it is.
Yeah. There's some symbolism in there or something. And I mean, like, Black Death 1349 is like, this is a sad album.
Black Death 1349 is very, very fucking literal.
It's a fucking haunting,
it's
simple song.
All it is just 2-minute kind of summary that kind of takes the feel of being alive during the Black Death.
That's very prescient and useful right now.
which is one of the reasons why I chose it. Quarantine, baby.
Oh boy. But here's a bit of an idea for Jesus. Maybe it's just about dying on your fucking 17th birthday.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm looking at the lyrics right now, and it's just Jesus
Yeah,
came to my birthday party. When I was 17, I thought it was a dream, but I know I seen him standing there with his long hair. I know I seen him there.
Yeah, no, that sounds very plausible.
That was a long time ago, and I haven't seen him in a while. Now I'm down in the city. Hell? And I think I've seen him in the eyes of the strangers that pass, in the eyes of the poor.
Yeah, that sounds very plausible for a Middle East song. Well, going back onto Black Death as well, what I love also about the song is that it doesn't kind of, when it goes into that summary of what it's like, it doesn't hold back on what it truly was. It talks about how there was all this racism and stuff that happened of blaming people's religions. Like there's the lyric that talks about burning Jews.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is the kind of depressing shit that was happening in the fucking Black Death. And it's one that's like they've done their fucking research.
Yeah, like that's the thing about it. They're so dark and depressing that they don't hold back. Why would they? That'd be almost like that'd be against what they're even about. Like they're all about putting it all on the page and putting it all in the song. And because they hated working with each other, it's like, well, if we're gonna fucking do this, we're gonna fucking do it.
And then the next song, which it goes into, which kind of has this whole, a lot of the kind of references in there are about kind of family relationships. You know, with my grandma was Pearl Hole.
Is that like an Australian reference thing? I wasn't sure what that meant.
Actually not too sure. I'm going to search up Pearl Hole right now. A lot of these things I haven't searched up. It might just be his actual grandma.
And spooky kind of like
slow
creeping vocals kind of thing.
That song by far is the most haunting, in my opinion.
And country.
Just the way that it's sung.
This is where it starts delving into those different strands.
It's just the way that the song is sung. It's so fucking. It feels like it's sung by someone
dive deep, but
it feels like it's being sung by someone who's about to fucking hang himself. That's how dark his voice manages to sound.
What are you saying?
Me. I'm still speaking. Can you not hear me? Dominic.
Yeah.
How long did I cut out for there?
Most of it.
Alright, as I was saying, the lyrics on this, like the vocals on this sound like it's sung by a man who's about to kill himself. It sounds that dark.
Yes.
And just depressing. It's pretty distressing to listen to. But that's what makes it so brilliant.
Did you find out anything about Pearl Hall?
No. I think Pearl Hall might just be his grandma. I'm not too sure about that.
I mean, fair enough if that's just her name.
Yeah. The one that I think that's more about Australia is actually Land of the
Bloody Unknown, yeah.
Yeah. There's not too much. There's not too much pure Australian references in this album, which is probably why it's a lot more accessible than some of the other stuff that I bring up.
I mean, that's not a bad thing. Like, I mean, Sydney to Newcastle is pretty much a reference.
Well, yeah, that's a train that I've been on enough to remember.
I was actually going to ask you, like, what is it with Australians and travel? I feel like half the albums you bring up are like travel based or travel themed.
Because we travel a lot. That just kind of happens. Like,
I mean,
so in America, you probably live very close to a city, don't you?
Yeah.
I kind of live in a city.
In Australia, now we obviously do live in cities and stuff here as well, but most offices, most jobs happen in the city, and a lot of people live potentially hours away, including there was a person that I went to uni with and my uni was dead in Sydney, and he lived in Newcastle. He woke up at bloody 4 a.m. every fucking day.
Wow.
So that train, Sydney to Newcastle, is something that kind of resonates with a lot of people who do have to travel that length just to make a living.
I mean, some of that's here. I mean, like from where I am to Chicago is about an hour, and there's plenty of people who do that travel every day.
Yeah.
But I'm
It's
sure
it's probably one of the most common intercity trains that is used in Sydney, because a lot of the stops that it goes to, that's the only path.
Uh-huh.
I literally live 5 minutes away from my work.
And the train itself only goes once every hour as well. So it's very, very harsh.
I'm sure it's always very busy too.
Incredibly.
I mean, like
I've never caught it to Newcastle, but I've had friends that live in areas that you can only access via that train.
Mm-hmm.
And there are also some stations on that line which are very small, and you can only get in a one carriage, or else you just cannot get off on it.
Oh yeah, okay. We have some of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that they've chosen the Sydney to Newcastle train themselves, seeing as they're a Townsville band, and that's not even in the same state.
The city of Townsville.
Yeah. You remember when you thought that Townsville was just a joke, and then I've now informed you that it's actually a place called Townsville?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a mining town.
Did the research.
I mean, miners aren't the most creative people.
Could you repeat that joke again?
Miners aren't the most creative people.
How dare you offend the coal miners like that?
I got no idea where to go on this map. I'm fucking lost as shit. Anyway.
Are you on the Tails level still?
No, I'm not.
No, he's on
the Knuckles level.
Knuckles.
Yeah, you have the 3 planets, and then you have like the stuff up top, I think. No, yeah. No. Yeah.
Oh man, that
no, you have the
burn is
fucking
nasty.
shit. You have the fucking thing in the middle, in the ground there.
Do blister?
Oh yeah.
I
So
think that's almost a blister.
that level has an interesting thing where like near the ground level there's like a bunch of doors and a bunch of big fucking rocks, right?
Yep. Well, I
It's
just
like,
found.
There's like a raised
found an
platform
emerald
there,
out of
and there's
nowhere.
like a little, it's like a base, and on that base there's like some big fucking rocks.
I found an emerald out of nowhere, so I'll take
Everyone?
it. Yep. I'm still here. Please hear me. Dominic, can you hear me?
I hear you. Don't worry.
Dominic, I think he might be cutting out then. Have you
Dominic,
been hearing
can
me
you
the whole time, Trix?
Yeah, I've pretty much been hearing you the whole time.
Oh wow, I've been repeating shit to Dominic. It's Dominic's fault. Oh my god, I feel sorry.
I had the shitty internet connection at the beginning. Holy fuck.
That's all blame Dominic.
What I do now?
It's your internet cutting out, not me.
Really?
Trix can hear me.
What the fuck? That's never happened before.
So
I'm
I've
sorry.
repeated a bunch of shit that everybody can fucking hear now. Ah, well.
My apologies, everybody.
Blame Domino.
But yeah, there's a
Blame
base in that level.
Domino.
There's a bunch of fucking rocks, and you can punch them into the doors because that's how you open the doors for some reason. And then it gives you a switch, and then in the center of that thing with the pillars, it'll open up, and you can go into that hole and get the power up for the level, which is a fucking pair of sunglasses.
What?
He needs the sunglasses to see invisible rings.
In no other game would that sentence make sense.
And an aquatic mine has the power for aquatic mine is a rebreather because he needs to be able to swim.
That one makes sense at least.
And Rouge
Like
has an equivalent of the sunglasses, which is like a what is it? Monocle, but it's like a spy monocle, so it's like it just goes over the one eye, like a spy thing.
Like the fucking Dragon Ball Z tracker.
Yeah,
level
yeah, yeah, yeah.
tracker.
But sunglasses, Knuckles gets sunglasses and a fucking rebreather that looks like a fucking necklace because that's how his character is coded. He's
Fair enough, I guess.
the rap loving gangster of the bunch.
Arrested on weapon possession. Good old Knuckles.
Like I've seen a lot of Sonic fans talk about how Knuckles is supposed to be black, basically, and that's cool. But it kind of makes you wonder, like, is there like some kind of racist stereotyping in there at a certain point?
I mean, he's basically got dreadlock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
don't
mean,
know.
so Echidnas are Australian. He's a hip hop artist. He's got dreadlocks that he probably shouldn't have. Knuckles is from Western Sydney, confirmed.
That is a joke that only you will get.
Saying Trick's laughing even though they didn't get that one.
Yeah. Just like the assurance of he's from X.
I'm sure everyone knows this stuff.
Western Sydney, the classiest place in Australia. Trust me on that one. Just ask anyone.
Like I live in a place with one of the greatest restaurants in the country, next to a subpar titty bar. So that's where I'm living.
Look, I was with my friend the other day, when I was getting my new monitor, and he's heavily Christian, and I saw two shops out there. There was the Church of the Good Shepherd, and there was a pawn shop, and only one of them had closed.
It was the church, right?
Yeah, of course it was.
Okay.
Who would still go to the Church of the Good Shepherd when there's a pawn shop right next to it?
I mean,
there are a lot of churches open in this country still.
Sadly, yeah. The fucking I don't care if you get the fucking pastors with the tithing and shit like that. That's a whole other topic for a whole other podcast.
Pay your tithe.
I feel like this episode has been kind of a train wreck, so maybe we should finally end it.
I think the train wreck episodes are the most fun to listen to, though.
I've just been playing Sonic Adventure 2. Quickly ending on the Middle East one. I know we haven't really gone too much into it, and this could be a crime to everybody who fucking loves it.
Then let's talk about it for 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes of it. That's what I'm fucking going to do. It's an incredible record, but it's nowhere near incredible in the same way that the Middle East was. Well, that one was full of so much color and became much more vibrant as it went on. This one becomes so much more darker as it goes on.
Yes.
It's completely different record to the EP that they put out.
The banana on the cover.
That being
symbolizes that.
That's probably one of the reasons that it didn't perform so well commercially, like in its sales or anything, as the EP did. Because there was nothing on there that was as accessible as a Blood or a Darkest Side was.
It's fun.
Except maybe, I mean,
let me know when you can hear me, because I can't hear anything.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
We can always hear you. It's just that you're dying down there. Songs like Deep Water would be accessible if they weren't so long.
I heard you a little bit, but yeah.
And other songs like Sydney to Newcastle, Jesus Came to My Birthday Party, which is probably the most lo-fi song on here, aren't as that accessible, but it's the music that they wanted to create or thought that they wanted to create until they kept saying, make it better, make it better, make it better, until their breakup happened. I mean,
the artist's folly.
To some point, this album has a lot to talk about, and for other parts, it's very hard to talk about it because of how distressing it can be. Obviously, Deep Water has a lot of references to just suicide in it. It becomes a bit hard to talk about without really, talking about suicide itself. The whole last line of that song is "A place I could die," and that's the whole reason that he loves the place. It's because it's a place that he could die. What do you say to that kind of stuff?
Which place is this?
It's in the end of Deep Water when he's talking about like the whole kind of state and the area that he's in.
Okay.
And the only reason that he says that he loves it is the place that I can die.
Yeah, I didn't hear any of that, so I don't know how much you heard of me. So
We're here all
no. Probably not actually. He's probably talking a lot more than we think he was. There are also some other Mount Morgan, the kind of it's separated into two parts, kind of the initial Mount Morgan and then kind of end instrumental that happens at the end, which kind of feels like the Beliar end that Recordings of the Middle East had for this album.
Kind of, but the violin thing was like a Radiohead kind of like song. It was very different. But this is like this is kind of like a reprise. This is like the grand finale of sorts.
Which feels weird that it's become it feels like a bonus track even though it's not, because it comes after 2 minutes of silence.
Yeah, it's like the hidden track.
And there's an actual bonus track too, recording "Yes, My Baby."
Yeah,
Which I haven't actually heard that. I know, fake Middle East fan.
It's the only other song we can cover.
Like we also didn't really talk about As I Go to See Janie, which again kind of happens at the start of this album, right after the very depressing, or distressing, I'd probably say, My Grandma Was Pearl Hole, where it starts to kind of pick up a bit more. It isn't so kind of simplistic and it's nowhere near as distressing sounding as My Grandma Was Pearl Hole is.
Right, like Janie starts out very melancholy and kind of dark, but it finds ways to keep you interested, which I think is key to some of these songs, like Very Many, is that they find ways to keep you listening and to keep you like on your toes almost. Like, what are they going to do next? They do key changes, harmonies, they introduce new instruments, and halfway through, they do a lot of stuff.
Yeah. It's a good album. You guys need to go listen to it if you haven't.
I'd say there's not much more to really talk about because this episode is a bit of a train wreck. Thank you, Sonic Adventure 2. You've ruined something else.
Sonic Adventure 2, a stain on the Middle East.
Oh, God.
Middle East never got a good rap on the show.
They've gotten great reviews, but just look, it's by far the best album that we covered this year.
Yes.
Let alone the two other albums that we're covering here. Number 2 this year, or
this year?
What do you put ahead of it?
Petite League.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot that we did Rips One Into the Night, which is obviously one that you're very fond of.
Yeah, one of my favorite albums.
I mean, this goes over Weekend Run Club for me, which was my number 1 for the year so far.
How are you going to tell Mitchell?
I won't.
Yeah, he'll find out. I'm sure he listens. He's one of our 7 subscribers.
Yeah, of course.
I totally didn't create 5 ever.
Thank you.
So with that, favorites and least favorites from this record.
Jesus Came to My Birthday Party is big.
Trix, you need to probably move a bit closer to the mic.
Jesus Came to My Birthday Party is a big favorite.
Yeah, I think we'll all probably agree with that.
Yes.
Least favorite, the last 2 minutes of Deep Water.
I mean, it's hard to call that a least favorite when there's nothing there, but I get what you mean.
I mean, Wolfpack got rated higher, than last place.
Yeah, but I mean, that was competing with just shit posts.
Yeah. For me, the highlight is definitely Jesus Came to My Birthday Party. Black Death 1349 is also very much like Sydney and Newcastle. This whole album is pretty great overall. My least favorite, honestly, is probably Deep Water. Because I feel like so much of the album, so many of the songs keep building and adding new things that by the time I get to Deep Water, I don't know what it adds besides 2 minutes of silence. Like it's
I also have the context of seeing Deep Water live, which is it's very beautiful to hear him of just perfectly. perfectly play that song without like no hiccups whatsoever.
But, he didn't make it sound like he was underwater, which the Knuckles rap in Aquatic Mind does make the artist sound like he's underwater. So,
What does music come to these days? No more underwater sounds.
let's take a dive in Aquatic Mind.
I think, look, Deep Water is just one of my favorites. It's one of the few ones that you can just listen to as its own.
Sure.
It just doesn't require any context, but in the context of the album, you get this whole kind of. It's still just as good. Least favorite is very hard to choose on this.
That's why I went for the silence.
I don't know.
Domino cut out again.
Yep. Although
Okay,
you can hear aggressive typing.
I'm so
Least
glad I
favorite.
don't have my Model M hooked up.
I think I'll probably put something like a Very Many as a least favorite, but that's just if I had to choose.
I think Very Many is cool, but it only becomes really good like halfway through.
Obviously, there's so much on here, which just in the when you listen to it in the context of the album, is just fucking fantastic. Black Death 1349, My Grandma Was Pearl Hole, Hunger Song, Jesus Came to My Birthday Party is obviously such a fucking good highlight of this. Land of the Bloody Unknown is still a highlight as well, but it's just not as much as the other songs are. So, albums of the week. Let's just get ahead of everybody. Yeah, number one is Middle East.
Yeah.
I think that's across the board there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Ritalin can predict everybody's number one and number one.
You can predict all of our standings, so go ahead.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna do it. So I'll start off with me, just so I get that one right at least. Number 3, it's very close. Number 3 and number 2, but I'm gonna put number 3 as the Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack. If it didn't have a lot of those Knuckles songs and the fucking Chow Race, it would be ahead of Vundabar by far. But there were just enough moments on there which are just a drag to listen to. Number 2, kind of just by default, I guess. It's a safe album, and I feel bad for not really talking about it too much, so I'll quickly ramp it up. I mean, I like bands like Hockey Dad. Vundabar has a very similar sound to them, but I don't think they execute nearly as well as Hockey Dad does.
No.
I disagree, but okay.
But yeah, I'll put them as number 2, and yeah, Middle East obviously as number 1. So we'll go on to Dominic's top 3 here. So number 3 for him is Gawk. Number 2 for him. Number 3 for you is Vundabar's Gawk.
Yes.
Number 2 is Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack, and number 1 is Middle East. And for Trix, number 1 is Petite League's Reps 1 into the Night. So number 3 for you, I'm assuming, is again Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack, then Vundabar, then Middle East.
Correct.
I'm just gonna say, I think the experimentation and the wealth of sounds in Sonic Adventure 2 are just more interesting, regardless of quality, than Vundabar's Gawk.
Hot take. It's very hot.
Just call this episode Hot Take when I'll upload it.
Hot takes, cut chords, and a train wreck.
Hot takes, and we all play Sonic Adventure 2. And Trix almost throws up.
This is episode 24 or 23. Yeah, this is where it all falls apart.
And I have been playing the same Knuckles one for 26 minutes.
I stopped playing. I cannot concentrate on both.
I started playing fucking Saints Row 4.
I'm gonna start playing again. To be fun now.
Alright, albums for next week, guys. What you got?
Next week is our 2020 episode, isn't it?
It's our third 2020 episode.
So you know what? Do you guys want to choose for me, or do you want to do the one that
Okay.
we all expected? That
I'll choose for you.
Yep, choose it.
Wait, I can choose it for you. Anything?
It was gonna be between the Chats, Smith Street, and Val and Soho.
Oh, Violent Zoho then.
Yeah, the one that
that's
we all
so.
expected. Yep. All right. Next week we're doing Violent Soho's release. Everything is A-OK. I'm assuming you're not only choosing that because it's Violent Soho, but because of the title.
Oh yeah,
Let's hope everything becomes A-OK.
It's hopeful. It is the antidote to our Middle East.
See, the fun thing is that this album's kind of and title came out around the Australian bushfires. They didn't predict coronavirus. So it's about an earlier issue.
Yeah, remember the bushfires?
Fire and pestilence and plague and famine.
And don't
I
forget
have
war.
I have a very religious cousin who was talking to me about how she's reading the Bible and really wanted me to read it with her and see all the things that she was seeing. And I was already very depressed, so I had to decline.
I'm gonna be honest. I've read some of the Bible. It's a good story.
I mean, my dad was a hardcore atheist, so he grabbed the popcorn and made me read it.
Nice.
She lusted after lovers whose genitals were as large as donkeys.
Like you pretty much asked my dad. He knew it.
What was
Anyway,
that? Ezekiel something.
Trix, what is your album?
I decided on one, but I wasn't sure if we were going to do the second album on it too. I'm going to do Tycho's newest album, which is...
I reckon we do both because they're quite
I
related.
think we do both.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do...
the other one is only like 27 minutes anyway.
We're going to do Tycho's two last albums. Fucking...
Weather?
I'm trying to pull them up. Yeah. Weather and
Simulcast.
Simulcast.
And I'm excited because anyone who actually follows the list that I make would notice that I put Weather as one of my favorite albums of 2019.
And
I don't think Trix liked it as much, did you?
No, I didn't. But then again, I really like Dive and Awake from Tycho, and that, and I like his like instrumental stuff, and I don't think his stuff jives well with vocals.
Plus, the interesting part about that is that those two albums do share songs because just how it works. We'll talk a bit more about it next week, obviously, but yeah, should be fun discussing how songs work in context there.
I've never listened to Tycho, so like Tame Impala, I'm excited to finally get into this.
They are my first foray into kind of the surfy indie genre. It's got a bit more of an electronic, like a chill electronica vibe to it.
Okay. And then, so for me then, that brings me to continue the strain that I've been following of AliX and K-pop and pop. And we're doing How I'm Feeling by Lauv, which has features like BTS and Choi Sivan. I've not listened to it, so I don't know how it's going to go. It might be a train wreck again, but we'll see.
Train wrecks.
His concept for his album seems very pretentious, and I'm interested to see if it holds up.
Well, with that has been Dissonant Waves for another week. You can catch us at Sonic Adventure 2. We'll usually be playing every day.
I get to the stream and do that. No big deal. I'm not going anywhere.
But if we're not playing Sonic Adventure 2, then catch us at you can catch me at ritalin4kids or github.io, even though I don't actually have any emails or messages on there. But you can check out my shit. You can also browse my shitty YouTube channel. Hell, I'm sorry for how distracted I am. I've just found the last emerald after 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. You can catch me at my YouTube channel. It'll be in the description below. You can also catch us at Dissonant Waves on our Twitter. I'm just doing that before tricks that Dominic does. Where is this? I found it.
Where's this damn fourth Chaos Emerald? That wasn't even the fucking right voice.
Where's the damn fourth Chaos Emerald?
Too British, man.
No, I fell off. I fell
Where's
off.
that
Fuck.
damn fourth Chaos Emerald?
I fell
It's
off
like
trying to catch
editing.
it. This sucks.
Damn, not here.
Oh fuck! Oh fuck! I just had fucking. Oh, you just triggered memories I forgot I had.
Oh, Shadow the Hedgehog?
Yeah, I used to play that game a lot as a kid.
I did too. It was my Christmas present when I was 10, and I was very
Oh
disappointed.
god, I'm so sorry.
It was that or Tony Hawk's American Wasteland, and all year I'd been all about American Wasteland, and then I saw a commercial for Shadow the Hedgehog. I'm like, no, I want that.
You got the worst game.
Yeah, I mean, American Wasteland only really holds up for the soundtrack.
Fuck you. That's the best Tony Hawk game in my opinion.
Skateland on DS was really cool.
You will notice that there was a lot of issues with American Wasteland. We'll talk about it next week on Dissonant Waves. We are now a gaming podcast.
I think I have my copy.
We've been circling around that drain for a while.
I'm reaching into my desk to try and find my copy of Tony Hawk's American Wasteland.
Speaking of tying it back to the show even more, American Skateland on DS was where I first saw Holiday by Green Day. Really listened to it.
I found Kiss Pinball.
Let's also talk about that.
Oh shit! I forgot. I thought I got rid of that game. I found my copy of Star Wars Battlefront 2 for PS2.
Yes.
Hey.
I thought I sold that in my old PS2. I had a PS2 Fat. When I sold it, I thought that I had sold my copy of Star Wars Battlefront 2 inside of it.
32 minutes, 43 seconds, 44 milliseconds. That's how long it took me to beat the fucking last
God
Rank
damn.
E.
Knuckles. Rank E.
I gotta try harder, is Knuckles' quote, I believe.
I never want to do that
Spider-Man
again.
2.
All right, time to lose against Rouge.
There's my copy of American Wasteland. Next to my pirated copy of Tony Hawk of not Tony
What do you mean,
Hawk's,
your emeralds? Fighting against you is a waste of time.
Talking to you is a waste of time. You don't remember your fucking... There's this one where you can just spam attacks, isn't it?
And that, except when it throws your curveballs at you.
So,
There is
anyways,
environmental
you
stuff.
can find the podcast at Dissonant Waves on Twitter or at our new website, dissonantwaves.space.
Hand back those master emeralds. Give them to me. Is Knuckles'
You can
quote
catch
for that
me
fight.
at twitter.com at procrastronaut _ that's procrastinating astronaut. And I also have a YouTube channel called Moonchild where I'm going to be trying to upload a video tonight after we get done with this tomfoolery.
Capital T, capital F on that.
Should I just end it, or does anybody, or Dominic, shout out your shit?
I'm Dominic. You can catch me on Twitter at DACICHOCKI. Sometimes I write things for Tilting Windmill Studios, tiltingwindmillstudios.com. You can sometimes catch me there. When I do other things, I will let you know. I will probably be doing other things sooner or later.
Well, that's been the episode, guys. Craig is leaving
That's
now.
been Dissonant Waves.